Hey friends, so this is our Tuesday night huddle, and if you're just joining us, we've got three teams, three jewel teams that have come together for these calls. We do them every Tuesday night. It's a 30-minute business focused call, and tonight I'm really excited because my really good friend Emerald Rachel Gallaher is on, and I got to see her over the weekend and had kind of forgotten how much I missed seeing her in person. Oh my goodness, it was so great. She is going to give you her best tips. So she is a former teacher. She is a mama to two. One is a newborn, and she is going to give you her best tips for kind of scheduling your day. And she is actually going to make you guys do something. So listen to her, but then get your paper and your pencil ready. Rachel, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks. Hi, guys. Okay, since we have 30 minutes, this is a total teacher me. First of all, yes, I love Amy. We kind of, I like to say, grew up in Plexus together. I feel like we met in an elevator one time at Super Saturday, didn't know what we were doing. We've just been great friends since then. And she lives like an hour and a half from me. So I love her. It was so good to see her this weekend. So I'm going to jump right in since we have about 30 minutes. Like she said, I am going to have you do something. So that's totally the teacher in me, like the I do, we do, you do type thing. So if you don't have a piece of paper, first of all, if you have your working calendar, like if you're a paper and pen, this is also the teacher in me. I still use a desktop calendar. If you have your planner, your whatever you use, I'm going to give you like 30 seconds, run and grab it real fast because I'm going to do my spiel. And then we're actually going to have something that tangible that you're going to take away from here. So we're going to have like an awkward 30 seconds real quick. Run and grab a paper and a pen. Your computer, if you're techie, I think Amy's like techie and does techie stuff.
I'm not. People say that. Listen.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Okay. I thought you were.
I am like every color of the rainbow, erasable pen, paper.
Me too, girl. Okay, so I lied. My bad. It's your VA. Her virtual assistant is the same as ours. Here's my colored pens as well. So here we are.
Love it.
We got about 15 more seconds. I see a couple more screens still running around, grabbing things. Sorry, I should have told Amy before, but I failed. So there's that. I did not time block that. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today, guys, is time blocking. This is a concept that I learned. You can just Google, YouTube. I'm going to cuss, but this is just, my cousin told me this thing. I think it's hilarious. She always says GTS. I was like, GTS, what is that? And she said, Google that shit. And I always say that. I think it's so funny. So you can GTS time blocking, and you'll find if you're someone that needs like a video on it, Google it, YouTube it, GTS that. It's everywhere, but it is something that is so simple, but literally rocked my world. So basically the 2-second synopsis of brain dumping is getting everything that's on your brain on paper. We feel overwhelmed. Does anyone feel overwhelmed in their daily lives, or overwhelmed when they sit down, or when you're working your Plexus business? I feel like the word overwhelm is like number one. Anyone? Yeah. I've got some head shakes. Yes. And what the concept behind brain dumping is, we have so much in our brain that it's like our brain's like, like a pinball machine, like, and we can't ever figure out what to do, where to start, what the most effective thing is to do. So we end up running around and then doing nothing. It's kind of like, I have a toddler, like Amy said, I have a 18, like almost, she's 2 in March, at the end of March, and then I have a 3-month-old. So it's kind of like when I'm cleaning up and my toddler comes behind me and like throws the basket. Sometimes we feel like that, and you're like, what just happened? Go back in the room and it's a disaster. So that's kind of how it feels. So that's what brain dumping, what it does is it gets everything in your brain out. And the concept behind it, or the theory behind it, is that once everything is out, you can look and say like, okay, I really only have like 2 things I need to do today that are really important, that are going to move the needle in my business. But you get bogged down with like all this other crap. So that's the 2-second thing. There's plenty of TED Talks and whatever over it if you need more details, but that's what it's about. So let me show you what I do. So this is going to be like when I was teaching, it was called I do, we do, you do. So like, I'm going to say what I do and I'm going to show you, we're going to kind of run through it together. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of the time to do your own, like you're going to do your own thing at the end. Okay. So what I do, guys, is I have this little planner I got at TJ Maxx. It's nothing special. I am not someone that's going to spend like $70 on a planner. That is not me. I found this at TJ Maxx because I've heard that quote that's like, oh, beginning of the year, that meme. I love memes. The beginning of the year, I'm going to go buy my my 47 planners that I'm never going to touch. That's like what I was when I used a planner. So this is what I do. I found this at TJ Maxx. I love the way it was laid out. I did kind of part of it so I could work through it with y'all. But what it has over here, it has shopping lists, but I'm not using it as that. I'm using this as my brain dump squares. And this is what I personally have found that works for my business. So every training, and I'm sure people tell you this, pick a few things that work for you. Don't try and implement everything. Take a couple little nuggets that you know work for you, or switch them up to where they work for you and adapt it and go from there. So what I personally do is I have two things, and you can do two little sticky notes. You can do whatever you want to do, but one is for personal and one is for plexus. So I separate it. I separate it personal, plexus. If I was teaching still, I would have personal, plexus, and teaching. But currently, or plexus is my job, so I don't teach anymore. So I just have personal, plexus. And what I do is I first sit down, and I used to set timers like for 10 minutes because I got overwhelmed in the beginning when I did this, but I would sit down for 10 minutes and truly focus. Because if we think about it, how often do we ever sit down without our phone for 10 minutes, without someone, talking to us for 10 minutes, our husband, our kids, whatever. So sit down by yourself for 10 minutes and put everything down personal that you need to do for the week. So this is the week. Sorry, let me start there. This is weekly. I do this every Sunday. So doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. If you're taking your kids, I count family as like if your kids have soccer, if your kids have like a science project, if your kids, they have a test on Friday and you need to help them study. If you have a work party, if you have dinner and drinks with your girlfriends, if you're going to brunch with someone, the gym, grocery shopping, grocery pickup. I personally think part of time blocking is just do grocery pickup and stop going to the grocery store if you feel like you don't have enough time. Like that's my first rule is cut out things. That's a whole nother topic, but, do grocery pickup or grocery delivery. I promise you the $3.99 I pay for grocery delivery is worth every freaking penny. Yeah, Sarah just said Instacart is life. Like just outsource stuff to save you time. So that's the first thing is if you say you don't have enough time, what can you outsource? Groceries is one that stop spending an hour at the grocery store. You don't need to. I don't care if you like to go to the grocery store. I don't care if that's your whatever. If you need more time, that's one of the easiest things to cut out. Okay. Switching from that. That's another, what's that that reel that's like, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. There we go. Okay. So write down everything personal. Now on another sticky note, write down everything plexus. Guys, this could be going through your perks points, which you should be doing every day. This could be reaching out to people who you need to look at credit card declines. This could be, that you have an intermittent fasting group. We're currently doing that. I think Amy, y'all did that, didn't y'all? Go say, I need to follow up with my intermittent fasting group people. If you need to work out your post, if you're not working on social media by this point, guys, you're at a point where in your business, you need to be present on social media every single day. The ranks that you're at, there's expectations, and that's just one of them. You're not going to move forward in your business if you're not doing that. So social media planning, showing up for your team. What are you doing to love on your leaders? At this rank, you have some leaders. So what are you doing to love on them? Coaching calls with your people, whatever you do in your Plexus business, write it down. Everyone's going to look a little bit different. Some people have people that help them. Some people are doing everything on your own. At this point, y'all are probably doing everything on your own. So write that down. So things don't slip through the crack. Now, what I do is I get my calendar out. This is personally what I do. Some of y'all are going to be like, this is a freaking joke. How are you, Emerald? Okay. First of all, if I can do this, so can you. Let's just start there. I had this when I was a teacher, and it was the best thing ever. I've tried to change it up to like try and upgrade and like level up. This, I just can't. So I go back to what I love, and it's a desk calendar. I love it because I can see everything. I know what's going on. It has like a little kind of section over here that I write kind of like, this is, if you will, my sticky notes. I use this. I love the extra space because I use it as like, if you look here, it says like January, everything I need to do in January that I know I want to do. I also have a goal of adding at least 6 people every month minimum. So I always have like 1 through 6 written down here. And then I will write, it's actually down here on this one, but 1 through 6 written down here. And I'll have like blank squares. So let me show y'all. Sorry, I didn't do it on this one yet because I was still trying to get my new calendar in. I just got it in the mail, so I'm not really like caught up here. But I always do this before the beginning of the month. I have 6 squares, and by the end of the month, I know that I want these filled up. So like right now, I actually already got 3 people to order. So I should put 3 squares up there. Sorry, I should have been a little more prepared. So I already have 3 new VIPs this month. So I need 3 more. So once I know like, oh, I got 1, 2, 3, in order to reach my goal, I need 3 more. So like really simple things that I do to keep my business all on one, like I don't know what you would call this, desktop or whatever, but this is what I have. I literally have everything on here. My leaders that I need to talk to are on here. I even have like some little just like quotes that keep me going. Like, are you adding value? That's my constant reminder for me for social media. Like, am I adding value? If not, don't post it. That's just like my personal challenge I'm working on social media right now. So anyways, this is like where I do my business. Okay. So then what I do is I get my brain dump for the week and I write down where that's going to fit into my day. So for instance, on here, I have for my personal schedule dentist appointment. That's something I need to do. And it sounds dumb, but if I don't write it down, I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to this week of the month right here. This is where we are. And I'm going to say tomorrow, I need to schedule my dentist appointment. So I would write it down, schedule dentist appointment. For another personal thing that I need to do is I need to call Mother's Day out programs because I need to get my kid in a Mother's Day out program. I'm also going to do that tomorrow because I need to get that rolling. So I'm going to write that down, schedule Mother's Day out program or call Mother's Day out programs. And then once I schedule out my personal thing, so that's where you'll fill in dentist appointment, doctor's appointment, kids baseball game, kids basketball, whatever, fill out your calendar. So that's in there. Those are non-negotiables. So you're not going to book anything during that time, because a problem I had in the beginning of working the business is I double booked everything. And it was really frustrating because me personally, I don't like letting people down. And I felt like I was letting people down on the regular. And if you're someone who, let's say, your spouse or someone gets frustrated that you're always working plexus and don't have time for the family, this is how to avoid that. Block out the times and put your phone away. When you're eating dinner with your family, you don't need to be on your phone. When you're playing on the floor with your kid doing a puzzle, you don't need to be on your phone. So block that stuff out. I'm very passionate about you should be doing what you're doing and not multitasking because none of us are good, but also you're not effective in everything. When I'm on the phone, playing on the floor with my daughter when she's trying to do a puzzle, guess what? I get frustrated. I get frustrated because she's like, mama, 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 when I'm trying to type a post and I'm like, Finley, but really it's like, it's not her fault. She just wants to play and I'm the one that's doing something. And I had a real big reflection moment one time when my daughter grabbed my phone and said, mama. It was like one of the first things she did. And I was like, oh crap, I'm on my phone way too much around her. So I made a vow that day I would no longer be doing that. And I'm going to focus on what I'm focusing on then. And that's going to be it. And you know what? I'm way more effective in my mom time and I'm way more effective in my work time because I'm not trying to multitask. So block that out. And then I can probably see where this is going. The next thing that you do is I always do personal first, because to me, my personal life always comes first. My family always comes first. I'm not going to plan a plexus thing when my kid has something. I'm just not. So plan your personal stuff first. Second thing is I'm going to get my plexus sticky note out or whatever you brain dumped on. And then I'm going to look and see what is truly going to move my needle in the business. So this is where I want to really hit on for a minute. What is going to move the needle in my business? Guys, I can tell you, and y'all already probably got training on this a million times. It's reaching out to people, showing your face on social media. At this day and age, when I started Plexus 6 years ago, it wasn't that important. Like, it just wasn't as important to show up consistently as it is today. You have to be an account that people know you're going to show up daily and that they can count on that you're going to be there when they go to Instagram. When they go to Instagram, if your bubble's not there, you don't have a story, you're going to not be reliable to them and they're going to quit going to you. And that's just something that's a whole nother training that I'm not going to tell y'all about tonight, but you that has to be something you have to do daily. So reaching out to people, following up, showing up on social. Those are the 3 non-negotiables. So that needs to be blocked in your planner, non-negotiables for Plexus. Now, how you do your reach outs, that's up to you. Some people like to reach out to people 1 day a week. Some people say, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to do new reach outs. Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to do follow-ups. Again, that's up to you. There's a million trainings if you go on YouTube about how to, reach out system or follow-up system for Plexus. Again, that's not what I'm training on tonight. Find something that works for you and then do it. Okay. So again, if you want to do, let's say, perks points, I suggest doing them at least every other day so you don't miss out on people. Write that down on here. I'm going to do perks points Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Write perks points on there. If you're going to do credit card declines 1 time a week or whatever you choose, say every Wednesday is the day I'm going to look at my back office and see whose credit card got declined. And I'm going to reach out and write that down on Wednesday, credit card declines. So it seems very simple, But what you're doing, guys, is you're making a plan for your day without having to really think about making a plan for your day, because you're going through your list, you're seeing exactly what you need to do, and then everything has a spot on here. So if you don't have time, guys, for those fluff things in your business, like making graphics for your team page, doing product knowledge information on your team page, that stuff is secondary. Like, other people may tell you other things. Do I think it's important for you to show up on your team page? Absolutely. Do I think that you need to spend 45 minutes on a graphic for your team page? I don't. At this point, no, people aren't spending a lot of time in team pages. So it's more important for you to show up in people's messengers if you need to choose one, versus spending a lot of time going to the team page that you're already a part of, that everyone is already an ambassador on, and reaching out to people and engaging. Another thing that people waste a lot of time on, someone told me this in a training and I thought it was awesome. They said, you need to spend most of your time in your messenger talking to people not on Plexus, not talking to people already on Plexus. Because what do? We find Plexus friends and we're like, ooh, ha, ha, and we go and we spend all this time in messengers. But guess what? That person's already on Plexus. They're never going to order from you. It doesn't mean you don't love them. Like, I'm in a chat with Amy. I'm not very loud in there. You know why? I don't have a lot of time with a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. So sometimes I'll come back when I'm like drinking my coffee or I'm like on the toilet and I'll be like, haha, hilarious. Or like, yeah, I love y'all, bye. But like, I don't spend a lot of time talking to them because they're already on Plexus. They know I love them, but I can't spend all day chatting with them. So if you look at your messenger, look and see, like, you could go back to this call, look and see who you're mainly talking to. I'm going to guess it's people already on Plexus. Your inbox should be full of conversations with people not on Plexus. So if not, switch the tune a little and make that a priority on here. Okay, so does y'all kind of understand? It's like pretty basic, but you kind of understand what I do. I know it's pretty simple. But what I love about this, guys, is then what happens. So that's part 1 of brain dumping, giving everything a time slot. Part 2 of brain dumping, what's beautiful is when you do that on Sunday, then the second part of it is what I do is before I go to bed at night, I always look at what my calendar says the next day. So tonight is Tuesday. I'm going to look at Wednesday, and tomorrow I'm going to see, which I'm going to do this with y'all. Like I said, I just got this calendar. So it's like, isn't filled in yet, but typically I'm like, I'm on it. This is something I do. And it is a non-negotiable in my business. But what I'm doing is we had an IF group. I'm following up with people from the IF group. That's going to be on my list for tomorrow. I did a story today on my Instagram I did a bunch of results from my IF group. And then I put a poll at the end and said, if you want info on our next one that starts in February, and I did like yes or yes, basically. And I had a lot of people answer. And so I'm going to go and reach out to those people tomorrow and give them information. So that's going to be my reach outs that I'm going to do. What else that I'm doing? And then tomorrow I'm going to find some hashtag groups I'm really focusing on my Instagram. So I'm going to make some hashtag sets so that when I do post stuff, I can just be efficient with my time, have some hashtag groups in my notes in my phone, and copy them over to my post so that my post goes to more people. Those are 3 things that I'm doing in my business, guys. And when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's it. But those are 3 really effective things. I'm reaching out to new people, and I'm learning how to I'm setting up for success to get my content out to new people on Instagram to grow my network. So those are 2 things that I'm doing. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not really that much. But those are the things that overwhelm us because we're like, oh, we have so much to do. But when you sit down and you have a plan, you're like, oh, this is all I have to do. It's easy to sit down and knock it out. Because let me tell you what happens if you don't plan your day. This is what happens. I'm going to work my Plexus business. You put your kid down for a nap, or maybe if you work, I was a teacher, so I worked on my lunch period. You sit down and you're like, okay, what am I going to do today? And already, like, a kid's pissed me off at school. My boss got on to me. My kid crapped his pants and had a blowout. My daughter was clinging on me, and I sit down and my brain's like kind of exhausted from the day. So I sit down and I'm like, what do I do? And then literally you're like, well, I'm just going to get on social media and scroll for a minute, or I'm just going to sit here for a minute. And then by the time you look up, you're like, oh crap, my work time for the day is over and I've done literally nothing. But when you have a plan, even if your morning went to shit and you're like, okay, and your morning just was a total disaster, when you're sit down, you're like, okay, but I have a plan. I'm going to go to my stories. I can write those names down. I'm going to have a message for them and just shoot it out to them real quick. So then even if you just do that one or those 2 tasks, you feel like you had a successful day because you did. And then success breeds motivation. You're going to be motivated to get up and work more. Then you're going to start having results, and then the results are going to keep you going. It's going to be like a snowball effect of winning. I can tell y'all, I'm not perfect. Like I could go up here and preach you all and say like, oh, I'm so perfect at this. Like there's days where my day does go to total crap, but you know what I do? Move my tasks to the next day. But I do have a non-negotiable with myself, and this is where you have to be disciplined. And I don't let the week go by without me doing all the tasks. But that means that on Saturday night, I'm staying up and doing them. I do them. And that's a habit that I had. I'm a really disciplined person, but that's a habit I had from teaching. I did not leave work on Friday until everything from my work week was done. But then when I left, I felt okay going to Chewy's and getting a margarita and chips and salsa with my friends. I felt okay with it because my stuff was done. So you feel successful there. You go into the next work week. I consider Plex as my work week. The next work week, starting again and not feeling behind. Because when you feel behind, that, let me tell you what happens again, overwhelm, and then you just don't work. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So that's what I do. It's really, really effective. Let me go back to the part where I'm not perfect. There's times when I feel I don't do this on Sundays, and I do wake up Monday and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I do feel like anxious, and I'm not an anxious person. So if I don't do this, like usually by Tuesday, I'm like, okay, what am I thinking? Like, stop, take a minute. The week isn't all the crap yet. Let me stop for a minute, redo it, revamp, kind of get myself set up for success. And the rest of my week goes great. So don't think like, oh, it's already Wednesday, I'm just going to wait till next week to do it. No, just stop. It takes 10 minutes, do it, set yourself up for success, and go from there. Okay. So does anyone have any questions before we get going? I hope that was an okay explanation. I was trying to give y'all a Plexus example because a lot of the ones you look up online when you GTS are just about like normal stuff. So does anyone have questions before I look at the chat before we do our little assignment here?
If anybody does, you can unmute yourself. I am loving this. And there are a couple things I wanted to say, but I can actually speak while people are doing their brain dump. If you want to go ahead and.
Totally. Okay. So this is what I'm going to have y'all do. I'm going to have you redo your calendar. I recommend like this. I've done it a million different ways just because I've been doing this for literally years. So like, the easiest way I found to do it is to get 2 separate sheets of paper. I have this little thing. I've had this notepad on my desk forever. Again, TJ Maxx, like $3.99. You can use whatever. You can use just a computer piece of paper. I suggest having a separate sheet for Plexus and a separate sheet for personal, just because if you try and do them together, it's like your brain needs one thing to focus on. Okay. So do one at a time, especially like I had COVID and babies all at the same time. And now I feel like my brain's like just not even here sometimes. I'm like that scrambled egg smash. Like, so it really helps to focus on one thing at a time. So that's my like one tip is do that. So go ahead and do your brain dumping first for both of them, and then pull out your calendar and be realistic with yourself. Like, where can this realistically fit? Don't be like, yes, I'm going to do it all. Like, no, if you know you're tired on Mondays and that's like your errand day, don't put a ton of stuff on Monday. You should always touch your business every day. So only put one thing on there. But if you know that Tuesday, like your kids are Mother's Day out or whatever, and you can like kill it that day, put more items on that day. So make it realistic for your life. So, okay. Fly.
So everyone's doing their brain dump.
Yes.
I wanted to share a couple of things. I love what you said though about being realistic, because I'm someone, I don't like to work on Friday afternoons. It's Friday.
Me either.
Especially
Friday afternoon, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm out. So I'm not going to put like follow-ups. Everyone's like follow up Friday. I'm going to do it at like 6 in the morning. I'm not doing it at 2 o'clock on a Friday. And also guys, be realistic in how much time it takes. Don't time block something for 30 minutes that really needs an hour, or vice versa. And I don't like to schedule my day down to the minute, right? Because I need some of that wiggle room in there. So
yes, I did want to touch on that. Sorry, I wrote that note on there. Yeah. A lot of people do time block like from 8:30 to 9. That's why I just stick it on the day, because especially me in this season of my life, like Lord, I have no idea what's happening. So I just have it like by the end of the day, this is done. And a lot of times I will tell y'all, I get up at 5, I get up at 4:30 and start working at 5, because that's my time I have alone. And some of you are like, seriously, but like, yeah, if I want to make this work, that's the sacrifice I have right now until my kids go to Mother's Day out. It's the only time I have alone that's not after bedtime. And sometimes after bedtime, like I'm whooped. So I'm not going to save, 30 follow-ups for 9 p.m. because the likelihood of me doing it is like not great, Yeah,
no, my brain is mush after about 8:30. And so, a couple things I wanted to add while you guys are doing your thing. One, So I hear people say a lot, well, I'm not a planner. That's not me. I'm not a planner. Well, that's because you're telling yourself you're not a planner.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be successful, because listen, guys, decision fatigue is a real thing.
Mhm.
And if all this stuff is in your brain, like Rachel talked about, you are fatigued and then you don't know what to do. By getting it out of your brain, you eliminate that decision fatigue. And, we talked a lot at Super Saturday about the baby steps to get you to your rank. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have to worry about this stuff. I just want to be gold. I just want to get to gold. I just want to be senior ruby. This is the stuff that's going to get you there, right? So
Mhm.
don't even focus on the rank. Focus on what Rachel said, your daily plan. What are you doing every day? And also, something that hit me big time at Super Saturday was we talk a lot about integrity, and we usually think that means honesty and showing up for other people. But actually, it starts with ourselves. Like, are you showing
Mhm.
up for yourself? And I really think this brain dump and your to do list in your business is showing up for yourself. I'm like you. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things real quick because she's got a super. You can get this one. Look, I was not a teacher, but
See,
I like to
it
see.
works.
You can get this on Amazon. This one's like $10 and you just tear it off. It doesn't even have the numbers on it. It's blank. So like it doesn't even say January. I just put the January dates on there.
Oh, nice. I like
Um,
them. Mine was Amazon also.
Yeah, we'll share some links in our group.
Yeah.
And then I also use color coded pins. So then visually when I look at that, pink is plexus, red is travel, and turquoise is my kid. So that way I can look and automatically at the color, my brain knows, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of plexus today, or I've got a lot of kid stuff today.
And you mentally prepare. I do that too. Pink to me is always in plexus. So anything plexus is in pink, but it helps too. Like when you look, like tonight, when I look the night before, I'm the same. So you can mentally get your head there before you go to sleep so that, in the morning you're like, okay. And whether you can add or tweak or take away or something change. Cause I'm planning stuff on Sunday, like Friday. By then, Friday could have changed. But you know what? That's why I also do a brain dump, like a mini brain dump the night before. So the next day, it's like, okay, this is really how my day is going to go. Like, this is how I thought it was going to go on Sunday, but I tweaked a few things, and this is what's really happening now. So make sure and do that too.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to jump in too and just add, they are both like paper calendar gurus with all their colored things. Y'all, I literally have a broken pencil on my desk, and that's not the extent of it over here. If you are not a paper person, you can do this digitally. Like if you are a digital person, like my Apple calendar is so color coordinated. And here's what I do is I have two teenagers. I have an almost 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an almost 2-year-old. So our house is chaos too. My husband has his own business. So I print ours out and I'm like,
That's smart.
Here's what we have. And my husband goes through on his copy of the printout that I give him. He highlights everything that's plexus that he knows. This means I am unavailable. And he knows that means he's got to jump in. So I think
That's so smart.
Head,
I'm going to start doing that.
If you're
that's
in
so
your
smart.
head thinking, oh, I have to go buy a paper calendar. If that's not how you are organized, I am not an organized human being by nature. Plexus is like the one thing in my life that's organized. Ask my kids, like they may not have a lunch one day and I'm having to run through Chick-fil-A, but you can bet I know when my calls are. Like, so just know how your brain operates and do it in a way that works for you. So if digital doesn't work for you, do paper, because that's the way you're going to be successful. If paper doesn't work for you and you need everything digital, do this and tweak it to be digital for you so that you stick with it. The goal here, and I think this would be, Rachel, this is what you would say. The goal is to be successful and the goal is for it to work. So if you're trying to make something work that isn't working, you've got to tweak it.
Right. Tweak it where it's you. And that's a good point. I do. So I don't print the thing out, but that's smart if you are digital, but I do. And this helps with I have some people on my team who their husbands aren't like quite on board with plexus. And so this really helps with them saying like, look, I have a call, like Sarah said, I have a call this night. I'm not going to be available. And I do run that through, but like, look, at 9, I'm going to be done and then we can hang out or whatever. So it's like a respect thing for your family to time block your business. So it's not a lot of frustration of like, I have a call and I didn't tell them and my kid this and my kid that. But you know what I told my husband? And I was like, hey, I have a call at 8:30 or sorry, 8, I'll be done by 8:30. And then I've been downtown. We can hang out after that. He's like, okay. And you know what he's doing? He's like messing with something on the island. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but he's not in here because I told him and he respected that. So this is a business. Like It's a respectable thing, but you have to communicate or there's going to be frustration just in the household. So this helps with preventing that too.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, Sarah. I started as a digital person wanting to be, and I'm not. And then like my
Yeah, same.
upline too, she isn't either. She's not electronic and she's not a planner. She uses the notes in her phone. And that's
Anxiety.
it. Yeah. Notes in her phone and her calendar on her phone. And she's a diamond. And that's all she makes my paper and colored pens. And I also want to make sure everyone heard Rachel say multitasking is not good. We don't want to do that anymore. When you're with your kids, be with your kids. When you're working your business, work your business. I used to think multitasking was like a badge of honor. And now I've seen the light.
Same. And you know what you're doing too? You're showing people that you're always available. So they think that they're going to always have to be available with them working the business when you always have your phone on you. But when you say something like, hey, I was with my kids earlier, guess what? No one has ever told me like, oh my gosh, you're with your kids. They're like, oh my gosh, no problem. It's not a big deal at all. Like no one's ever mad with you being with your family. You just have to, again, communicate with that with them. You know, I never answer messages immediately. I just don't. And if I'm mid conversation, it's time for me to go and hang out with my kids. I just say, hey, going to hang out with my kids, going to go play outside. They just woke up from a nap. I'll get back to it later. And guess what? Again, no one's ever frustrated. They're like, girl, go be with your kids. I'll be here. So just communicate that. Don't leave them hanging, but just communicate and say, I will be back, and make sure you get back to them.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions on the brain dump? What's in her brain dump for her Plexus business? I know a couple people asked like what the reports are. So we put that in the chat.
Oh yeah. Let me look at the chat. Sorry.
That's okay. It was early. The chat was blowing up while you were talking. So.
Okay, well, let me go back and read this. I mean, y'all need to go. I could stay on for a minute. Right, everything.
And the other thing too, I think Amy and Rachel have probably done this. I think most Jules hopefully have. And as you're growing your business, I think it's important to have I mean, we had like a family meeting where we just kind of talked about expectations and like management, making sure everybody's on board. There's a name for it. And I've got sick brain right now, so I don't remember what it's called, but but having that expectation meeting so that you can kind of say like, this is how many hours. I mean, it's different for everybody. I know Jules diamonds who work 25 hours a week. I know some that work 40 plus hours a week. It just depends on how you run your own business. But having those conversations with your family, I think also will alleviate a lot of resentment. Yeah. There was a time going for Emerald not that long ago. Well, yeah, I guess it was like 5 years ago. But anyway, when I was going Emerald, it literally like I would go weeks of not seeing my kids pushing for this like huge drink and like working, really just sitting at a computer refreshing 400,000 times and all the things. And I think using your time wisely will be more effective. Going for Sapphire was very different for me because I used my time more effectively and I work differently now because
you get more done. I am way more effective in my work time.
And people who work like, I mean, like I said, I have an almost my my little boy's just a little bit older than Rachel's little girl. We had them just a couple weeks apart. And I'm gonna tell you, if you have a toddler, I challenge you to work with a toddler because it is like the most ineffective time ever. Like I have better luck going to the bathroom with a toddler than I do working my business with a toddler.
No, that's true. Fact.
It's just not a thing. And I have teenagers, and my teenagers, here's the thing about teenagers. My kids were, I've been with the company 8 years. So my kids were in elementary school. They're now in middle school and high school. They've watched this journey too. And so I'm creating a pattern for them. You're an example to your kids. What do you want to show them? Do you want to show them that as an entrepreneur, you have to spend every day, all day and sacrifice all of your family time? But do you also want to show them that you work hard? My kids understand now that I work really hard for what we have and what we provide, but they also know that they are a priority and they're the reason that I do this, not because I tell them, but because I show them. So making sure that like you're showing up to all of the things and just not working around the clock, but also when you're working, be intentional in your work so that it's effective.
Well,
I heard it's okay to spend time and tell them I have a meeting.
Yeah, totally. We call those stakeholder meetings. And, someone said something over the weekend. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so right. I think Rachel and Sarah and I both can attest that when we probably became a Jewel, we were hustling and it wasn't good. And I don't want to do that again. And I don't want my team to do that. So we want to show you guys that by doing this brain dump and time blocking and really being present for what you're there for and not multitasking, you can become a jewel and go to the top of this company, and you can do it like in alignment without the hustle. Like you can work really hard when you're working, but you don't have to work all the time. Someone told me she wants to be a working mom, not a mom who works. It's totally awesome for your kids to see you working and having fun at work and working hard and enjoying work. But when that's during work time, right?
Yeah.
So we really, I think we want to model that. I know we do for our teams, that we don't want you guys to be burnt out. And what she said is huge, like time blocking, and we call it stakeholder meetings. I do them quarterly with my husband and my kiddo. And I've done it since Adelaide was younger, and I just really would ask her, what do you need mommy for? And it changes. Adelaide right now is still in a cuddle phase. She wants mommy to rub her back at bedtime. I got to be there at bedtime. Like I can't do anything not, I can't be on a later call. Or so, you can ask your kids that too, or your husband, like, what's your non-negotiable that you need me there for?
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah. And if you're going for a big like convention contest, or when I'm pushing for a rank or like a shopping spree, we have another meeting. Like, all right, mommy's going for a big goal. Gonna have to work a little bit more. What are the non-negotiables now? So it really
and I would say too, if you have a spouse, this has worked really well for me. Set a date, like a date a week, where you have a date night where you completely disengage like from all things work, Plexus, even like if you're in corporate America still, like that work too, and just focus on your spouse, because if you give them some solid quality at least once a week, and it's very like intentional, you will see a really big shift. I have, like, that has been my experience. And I mean, again, with teenagers and a toddler, like I need a break. I need to function outside of that. And so it's healthy for everybody, all parties involved. And then I also do dates with my kids. So we have like, I mean, my 2-year-old sees me all the time, but my older two, like we have a special time that's like, what do you want to do? Just the two of us. And it's really important that because we do, especially Amy, like you said, when we're pushing for something big, and we're taking a little bit more away, or it's end of month and we have a lot of stuff going on at end of month, trying to make sure all of our people are hitting their goals, then that's kind of what we do right after. So ours is at the first of the month after we've had an awesome month. But I love this, Rachel, and I love that you're so organized, because like I said, I am the most unorganized person except for
but it's like you said, though, it's like we like all these trainings we go to and stuff. It's like, okay, but if what you're doing isn't working, you have to change it. And that was something when I was teaching. I taught 4th grade, so it was 9-year-olds. I could not, like, you can't have an extra second of the day that isn't filled with an activity. So I learned how to over plan. And it's just a skill that has to be learned. And so if you're someone that's like, this is too much, this isn't me, well, guess what? Like, you don't be successful by your business not having a plan. You just don't, you just don't, or you get burnt out, or you don't know what you're doing because you don't have a plan or whatever. So it's just a simple tweak. And guys, the more you do it, the more you're going to get comfortable with it. But it's just these small tweaks that make huge differences. Like, and it makes you feel like you have a business, like you take it more seriously, and you're like, no, I am going to work. Like I do have this plan, versus like, I'm kind of doing this Plexus thing, whatever. And at this rank, like it's gold and above on this, right?
Yeah.
Like you do have a business, and you do have to show up more than just, on the toilet. Cause I hate, like, I used to be like, just message people when you're rocking your baby. Well, guess what? I have a baby, and I'm not freaking messaging people when I'm rocking the baby. I'm rocking my baby, But so when I hear that advice, I'm like, no, don't do that. You're going to hate your job and never want to do it. But that's kind of I have this quote that I love that I wrote down. I want to tell y'all, but it's, if you don't run the day runs you. And it's so true. And I go by that every time. And every time I don't make a plan, I go back to the quote of like, if I'm not running the day is going to run me. And there's times for that, the rainy Saturday, you're making chili, whatever. But for the majority of the time, you need a plan, or your day, you're going to look back and be like, where did today go?
Yeah. And we're not going to be perfect. We're going to do this messy. There's going to be days that you plan and it goes to crap. So give yourself grace. But I love that it puts us in activity, because if we're so focused on the next rank, we're not going to get there. This is
never.
The stuff, and then you feel accomplished because you've done something. And I really just love it. And I think
you're saying, I'm going to go steam your gold, but then it's like, okay, but like,
but I'm just scrolling on Facebook because my brain is,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, and I saw someone I wanted to hit on. I scrolled through the chat. Amy did all the reports that y'all needed, but one person said, I like to talk to people's stories and I start in a conversation. Here's my tip for that. And I know I'm over, so sorry, but my tip for that is this. I send all my messages, and if people are replying while I'm sending messages, I don't answer them. So if I say like, okay, this morning I'm going to reach out to 15 people, I send all 15, and sometimes I don't get any replies, and that's fine. But sometimes I do, and I don't go back and be like, oh, Janet responded to me, I need to go. No, I get all my 15 out. And then if I'm following up, I get all of my follow-ups out, and then I get all my social media out, and then I do my output first, and then I go back and I'm like, okay, now I can help these people when I do have a minute. When my, toddler is eating a yogurt in her high chair, I can grab my phone real quick and answer these 5 messages or whatever. So do all of your like output stuff, things that you need to get out first. And then even if you don't get back till the input until 9 p.m., leave it. It doesn't matter. Trust me, they're not like waiting on you. They'll have lives too,
That's good advice. I always say there's no emergencies in Plexus. Like I've worked in crime scene investigation, there's emergencies there. There aren't emergencies in Plexus.
Yeah, none, zero. Like, girl, how do I, and guess what? The beauty of that is too, that I learned, if you don't get back to them till later, 99.9% of the time, if it's an issue someone has, so like, never mind, found it. It teaches them to be resourceful. It teaches them to GTS.
I love it. I put that in the chat. That's my new thing. GTS. I love it. So thank you so much. You are amazing, Rachel. We appreciate you. And I can share this recording with you if you want to share it with your team. I know.
Yeah, sure, I will.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank you
for having
everyone for
me.
being on. Bye, guys.
Bye, you guys. Have a good night. Go brain dump for tomorrow.
Yes, we're doing it.
Bye, y'all.